Okay, let's talk about what might be next for the Democrats then. So we did their meltdown and we did what actually happened. And now, what about the future? Because the future is, it's a full spectrum dominance by the Donald, winning the White House, the Senate, Congress, and he's also got the Supreme Court. So where do the Dems go from here? It was a bit of a shellacking, wasn't it? He even won the popular vote, but to the tune of 5 million odd. So that's...
I think they're going to have Biden 2028 campaign.
They're actually going to weekend at Bernie him this time. Actually have little stilts and sticks holding him up. Or maybe Jimmy Carter, third run, he's still alive.
Yeah.
He's about as much of a corpse as Biden is.
He's in much better shape than Biden. He can drive a golf ball like 50 yards further than Biden. No. You shouldn't joke. Jimmy Carter's...
he's on his way out.
Terrible state. Poor man. Okay. We do have a merch store. About this stage in the segment, should mention the merch store. Can buy some Trump-themed merch. We were going to end it after November the 5th, but because it's doing quite well, we thought we'd give people a bit extra time to buy some merch. T-shirts, posters, mugs, all that kind of good stuff. Helps us keep the lights on here because we're demonetised and we haven't got any sugar daddies. So please do
speak for
think
yourself.
About something. Well, I mean, as an organisation. You're not in the stable. You're not in O'Neill's stable, are you?
Well, I never kiss and tell. No, I've already gone through twink death.
Okay, so Kamala Harris finally, it took her a day to sort of come to terms with her defeat, just like Hillary did. But the next day, i.e. yesterday now, she finally came out and gave a speech. We don't actually need to listen to it. It's the same old thing, really. There's nothing special in it particularly. Did you watch it?
I've seen the clips from it. She comes across like she doesn't really care all that much.
Didn't seem too fast, to be honest.
She knew. She woke up that morning, looked in the mirror, and went, "Yeah, I'm a loser." She knew she's a natural loser. Same with Waltz as well. They're both natural losers. She was like, "Well, I suppose there is a glass ceiling for me."
Yeah.
She shrugged her shoulders and went, "Well, I'm already rich. Who cares?
I can still make literally millions on the talking circuit."
She was
sell a book or two that someone else will ghostwrite for me.
Yeah, she was thinking, my MSNBC career is already cemented, so I don't need to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't change, they're gonna lose also the next one because she can't be spontaneous. She can't talk.
Yeah.
They really, upon reflection, they do really come across as a pair of sacrificial lambs.
Yeah.
I think they were.
Yeah.
AA had a decent take on that, saying that the establishment, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, sort of think that there will be a big financial crisis in the next 4 years, so they don't want their side in power at the time, so sort of deliberately lose this one, sort of deliberately throw this one, so that Trump is in power during that period, and so you put up a sacrificial lamb who you expect to lose, who will lose. Harris Waltz. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I did think she didn't seem particularly bothered. You know what sprung to mind is when Theresa May had to leave Number 10, she was really almost crying, and like really, really holding herself back from crying. Do you remember when Boris left? When he came out of Number 10 and gave his speech, he seemed like he was over the moon. he was actually sort of like bubbly and laughing and stuff. Do you remember that? It was weird. It was really weird because he got totally cooed. He got totally stabbed in the back. I would expect you to be really bitter and angry and upset and stuff, but he seemed, no, it's fine, yeah. No.
It was a lot less stress afterward, didn't it?
Yeah. It's a load off.
Yeah.
That's right.
Finally, the newspapers will stop insulting me.
I mean, if you have people who go after office without caring for the country, they just want to take the office, well, they take it and then they can leave and they're happy.
Yeah, right, yeah. It speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Johnson and others are the kind that would want to take office, like you say, purely for the sake of having it on their CV.
Yeah. Just have a picture, then I'm going to show it to my guests.
I ran the UK once, don't you know?
I won the election. Next day I resign. I
got the photo. Been there, done that.
You can imagine people like Rishi or Liz Truss literally doing that at a dinner party. I was Prime Minister once, People are like, yeah, all right, of course you were.
Tiny little Indian man, Prime Minister, all right, you say so.
So she finally conceded, and she was quite gracious about it. She could have been sort of bitter, I suppose. Could have thrown a few more barbs in there and she didn't, so at least give her that. At least give her that. So what is the future? Some pundits were saying that she sort of left the door open, or a small amount of wiggle room for herself to maybe keep going at the top of the party and maybe even run next time and stuff.
Happening.
Even if that's what she wants, which I wouldn't put it past her, I don't think she would ever get the nomination from the party. I mean, the only reason she got here in the first place is because they did everything they could to outmaneuver Bernie to make her VP in the first place. And then we all know she didn't face a primary because they cooed Joe. So that's the only reason she was ever running for Prez in the first place, is because she was placed there. I don't think
particularly popular.
The party didn't want her anywhere near it.
Ridiculously unpopular. That's why she won the nomination in 2020.
Yeah, the party didn't want her anywhere near power, let alone running for the top job. So even if she wants to still be involved in the very, very top tier of American politics, it's done. I think she's in the bin of history now.
I'm remembering the Kamala checklist for why they chose her for VP after Biden got the nomination, which was literally black woman, tick, tick, there you go.
I think she's going to write a book called Breaking the Glass Ceiling.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the sort of thing she'll do. And someone else will ghostwrite it for her, and even they will be cutting and pasting off of Wikipedia. Because that's how she rolls, apparently.
But it won't be... Yeah, that guy, the ghostwriter, will just be copying and pasting.
Yeah. Even the ghostwriter's not got anything
original. It's my signature style, you understand. You won't believe I wrote it if you don't do that.
So let's have a bit of a look at the party then. So with Trump, or the Republicans rather, gaining the Senate and retaining control of Congress, both Chuck and Nancy are sort of not in the picture as much as majority leaders. Right, so if you remember in 2016, Trump had to deal with Chuck and Nancy in order to get stuff done, and they obviously wouldn't play ball with him hardly ever, over almost everything, just preventing him from getting stuff done. So he doesn't have to deal with that as much, at least now. But there is an old guard, in the Democrat Party. There are quite a few old people now, like Feinstein or even Pelosi and Chuck. They're getting on, they're getting up there. So I imagine in 2028 or even beyond that, it'll be the next crop of people in the Democrat Party that are about our age or a bit older, about my age or maybe a touch older than me.
So pretty old.
So well old.
Old timers.
Or there's some people that are still too young, like AOC will still be too young, right? There is an age qualification. So AOC will still be too young. But let's have a look at who might be next. I mean, the obvious one is Gavin Newsom, right? I think he's the next big beast in the party.
I thought he was going to run back in July.
I threw his name out there. That I thought he might. If they were going to coup Biden, maybe it would be him.
I think it was sensible because they knew whoever was going to be running against Trump this time was going to be fighting an uphill battle, if only because of the time limitations on it. Yes. So Gavin Newsom was clearly kept in the reserves for the next time. They don't want to use up his political capital now.
I think you're right, but something that was very surprising to me at some point, I started replying something to Piers Morgan, who said something about Newsom, and I had lots of people who were supporting Newsom on the replies, and I just couldn't understand why. And there are a lot of supporters of him in California saying essentially that he's good for business. That's what.
Well, said. I'm sure he is. I've seen people. I think it was Sean actually on the live stream when we brought up Newsom for maybe 2028, saying that he's going to have an uphill battle of his own because of what a state California is in. That's true for some voters, but all of the progressive voters are going to look at California and the state it's in and go, "Yes, that's what we want. This is the plan. This is what the country should be."
Well, we saw even at this election, California was called the moment the polls closed because it's just a slam dunk. Despite everything, it's still a complete lock for the Dems, the whole of California. So, yeah.
I do feel bad for the red counties because they exist.
Oh, yeah.
The red counties in California. It's just they have a number of bugman outposts there, which are some of the largest cities in the country.
Remember, California is massive with a population of tens of millions. Its economy is bigger than most countries. Yeah, and there are millions of deep red Republicans that live in California. And yeah, I feel sorry for them.
Poor sods.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them. Okay, so Gavin Newsom, I think, if I had to put money on it right now, anyway, it's might age terribly, that in 2028 it'll be Newsom. I would have thought.
I think so.
Vance versus Newsom, right? I would have thought. Okay, so if it's not Newsom for whatever reason, whether it has scandals or the party just don't want to pick him, because what quite often happens tons of times in politics, is you have such a big beast, someone who's so obviously the next one in waiting, that like in a game of Risk, everyone else gangs up against them, right? And the classic example of that, I think, is maybe Heseltine. Heseltine was going to be Thatcher's replacement when Thatcher had gone for whatever reason. And everyone was like, no, anyone, John Major. We're all getting behind John Major, let's go. No one wanted, really. Like, Heseltine was the one.
That's true, but if the party wants to get themselves back on track, the Biden-Harris administration has been completely marred by the clear personal ambitions of a lot of the people making up for it. So if they want what's good for the party, they would have to put aside that kind of petty backstabbing to put someone like Newsom ahead. But you are right that the party is filled with insane old people who are going to be dead in the next 10 years and don't care anyway.
Well, there are people like the Bernie, Liz Warren, someone like Andrew Cuomo, Maxine Waters. These are all like the older people. That,
how old is Bernie now? Bernie Sanders.
He's got to be in his 80s, isn't he?
He is 83. So 4 years,
87.
he's going to be 87. Can you imagine that finally, 87 years old, they finally give him the chance to run?
No, I mentioned Bernie and Liz Warren and Maxine Waters as people that I think their time has been and gone. It's not them anymore. It's not them anymore. It's the next generation down now.
It would be funny if they were Bernie finally.
Yeah.
Bernie against JD Vance. I'd love that debate.
So a few names like AOC would be still too young, or well, anyway.
Is it 35?
I think it's for the presidency. I think it's 35.
How old is she?
She's 35 right now.
Oh, okay.
So she
okay.
she is old enough.
Oh, right. Okay. Well then.
She's more of a social media star than an actual serious person, though, isn't she?
Yeah. Well, yeah. She's guilty of malapropisms. She says the wrong word.
She's it's so clearly an idiot.
Yeah.
Although that's never stopped Americans before.
Right. Yeah. Well, so a few names thrown out. There's Pete Buttigieg. How do you say that? Buttigieg.
So ironically, if it was Pete Buttigieg and he got in, it would be a man with the first man.
Oh yeah,
in history.
He's in a gay marriage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That'd be amazing if even a man gets that first.
Yeah.
Hillary and Harris fail. Pete Buttigieg finally makes history.
But he seems like just all of these. I'm not going to mention anyone that I've got any faith in whatsoever. Anything good to say about Cory Booker? Give me a break. Gretchen Whitmer, please. That Joe Mankin guy, one of the most subversive people you will ever see. Beto O'Rourke. Who would really want that? Anthony Blinken. I mean, he's a bit more serious, a little bit more serious. Obviously a douchebag, but a bit more serious. Tim Walz. Well, now Tim Walz has got name recognition. Maybe I don't think the party would pick him.
His name is Mud.
Yeah, right. Yeah. John Edwards, Adam Schiff. People hate Adam Schiff, but again, he's one of the power players, right, in the party. I think.
I think the problem with a lot of these names that you could put forward is, save for Newsom, who comes across like a serious and intelligent person.
He has the optics of a statesman.
I was going to say exactly that. He's got a bit of a statesman about him.
Even if he's a bit Patrick Bateman at the same time, still,
yeah.
All of the rest of these names that I'm looking at have a bad aesthetic to them. They're very off-putting and unserious people. So Newsom is the only one who isn't strange and off-putting in that same way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Maybe Senator Scott Wiener.
Scott Wiener, oh my god.
President
Cory Bush, fight for women. I mean, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, I don't think they were born Americans, were they?
I don't even know. Ilhan Omar.
Obviously, they're not eligible if that.
She was born in Somalia,
right? I think so.
You think
Rashida Tlaib
Cenk is gonna go?
Cenk. Finally, the party accept Cenk into their ranks.
Rashida Tlaib was born in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
In Detroit. Oh. Oof.
Okay. So
That'd be a rags to riches story.
I think what's interesting to say is that although it seems like Gavin Newsom, and I hate the guy, there is something of the statesman about him. He's got some sort of presence, and not really anyone else has. But despite that, there's loads of named recognition people, right? They have got a stable of people. I mean, I couldn't name as many Republican politicians, probably. And these are only the few I picked out. There was a longer list. And most people would know the names of some other people. But so we'll see what happens. Now, the last thing I'll say is not just the person they pick to go forward in 28, but the spirit of the party. Will the Democratic Party be able to come back from this sort of ultra wokeness, really socialism, really anti-Americanism, anti-Westernism, anti-whiteism? Will it be able to ever come back from that and reform itself and reimagine itself back into sort of a 90s Democrats type thing? I don't know if that's possible, because already loads of those names that I read out, these are all crazy people. Adam Schiff, madness, Joe Manchin, AOC. You'd have to purge your party of these people.
Yeah,
I mean, even someone like Liz Warren. Like,
the thing is that they have a dilemma whether to focus on, more traditionally economic arguments or these crazy arguments. So yeah, they could just rally on a welfare state agenda. Obviously they do, but just highlight this. It seems to me that Trump is going to be good for the economy, so they're not going to be able to project that argument. So it seems to me that in the next 4 years they will still do this. That's why a lot of news agencies now and articles say that the problem with Harris is that she didn't highlight her profile.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say they won't come back from this precipice. They'll
the next 10 years or
they'll move up a gear, going over the edge of the cliff, if anything.